Oh my god, it's been 2 years
Yes.
since you've introed. I want to hear it.
Oh man. Oh wait. So we're actually bringing it in the show.
Why not? Wait,
Okay.
what time is it?
We've just been bullshitting
We
for the
gotta time
last.
it.
It's 7:51.
I'm not gonna read this depressing thing.
Why is it? You
Do we
okay?
have rules? Is there anything off limits? Do we not
No.
curse?
No.
Anything?
No.
Okay, cool.
No.
Say whatever
Fuck.
you want.
Yeah, good job.
No, it's PG-13. We only get one of those.
Oh, okay.
A piece.
Noted.
A
Well, we
piece.
blew our one F
We each get one, and boobs are allowed to be shown once.
one time. One podcast
Side
boob.
boob, but tasteful.
Okay, I'll be ready for that.
Side
boob
boobs
shot.
always
That's
taste.
all you.
Okay, so I'll hit the start button.
Do it.
Come on, man, you're psyching me out. It's been 2 years.
Yeah, it's a long time.
Okay.
Do it.
Okay.
D.
Okay. I'm gonna
Everyone's looking at you.
stop. It's under
Pressure.
pressure.
Pushing down on me, pushing down on you. You're an asshole. No.
People on the streets.
All right. Welcome to the Hey We're Friends podcast. This is episode 42.
Is it?
This is number 42.
Oh my god.
We are recording this.
That's
it's
the
not
meaning of
live.
life.
All right,
We
welcome
are
to
the meaning of life.
welcome
So
to
this
episode
is-
150.
So we are recording this on today is what, October the 30th?
30th.
Mhm.
Yeah, 2018. The last podcast, episode 41, was October 11, 2016.
That's a hot minute.
Yeah, it's been a while. But to introduce everybody, I am your host, Spankeh. We
Hi.
have
Oh, okay. Oh, now I can tell. Co-hosts. That's the part you forgot. Jacob, or Jake.
The editor from way back in the day, Matt.
Special guest Eric from Packed House.
And special guest Kelly from Packed House. I put on my radio voice for you guys. Do you like that?
Hello there.
I was about to say, you sound like Vanna White.
Hi. Does she speak?
Yeah, I was about to say.
Okay, you speak like she
Clip,
would move.
clop, turn.
Anyway.
Cool. Thanks for having us on
Yeah.
the show. Before we dive in, I mean, considering it's been 2 years since y'all have done this, to have us on the show for your 2-year return is super cool. So thank you.
Yeah,
Well-
we're about to make 2 years.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, that's
yeah.
terrifying
That's
to
a
think
channel.
As a channel.
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're babies.
Okay.
Oh yeah, we kind of need to get into that a little bit on like who you are, where you're from, all that good stuff. All right, so right now you're in a channel called Packed House,
Correct.
but before that, everyone within the channel now was like doing their own thing.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So could you explain that briefly?
Yeah, so after the floods of 2016,
Mhm.
which as of your last podcast had like just happened,
Mhm.
people were
Oh,
still
yeah.
cleaning up. We over lunch, my husband John and I, who is also part of Packed House, we had lunch one day. I was working for a moving company. I was pissed that all we were doing was offering free used boxes, and I was like, that's not enough. We have to do more. So we organized Gamers for Acadiana, which was a 48-hour live stream, and we threw it together. We had the idea on Monday. The live stream started on Friday, and we threw it together with all of these local YouTubers, which included, we had Achievemates, who's no longer with us. We had,
Game Breakers,
Breakers.
which was me and my best friend Colin.
and now it's just Eric.
Mm-hmm.
Who else did we have come out?
We had Ben.
Oh, yeah,
Who
Ben
at the
was with
time was with
Game
GameApok. Yeah.
Yeah. Ben is partially with us. He's got one foot in the door.
He's there in
still.
spirit,
He was
yeah.
like, I don't want to do this anymore. And then he's like, hey guys, remember me? Let's do some D&D. And I'm like, yes. We can never let Ben go.
Oh no.
Like ever.
he's-
He wants to, and we're just like,
Not allowed.
I think we had some more special guests, but it was just kind of like
Yeah,
people
the
popping
core
in.
of it was Out Loud Thinking, Game
That's
Breakers,
right.
and GameApok.
We
the
were
thing
Out
you were
Loud
in, yeah.
Yeah, we were there too.
But yeah, we did that 48-hour live stream, and it was such a cool bonding experience. I knew John and Kelly. Well, I knew John, but I met Kelly during the live stream, and essentially we were all put together under the circumstances of the flood, and we really got a chance to bond. It was such a cool experience to like meet these new people and have such a cool moment of just like sharing our love for video games and the city of Lafayette.
Yeah.
And after we were done, we were like, I mean, we can't stop now. Like we had such a cool experience. What can we do from here?
Yeah, we became like this weird family.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I don't even know. I can't even explain it. Like we started out as like complete strangers, and when we left, we were like telling each other that we loved each other. Like we were just like, okay,
Yeah.
bye, I love you. But I mean, like we were in constant rotation for 48 hours.
Mhm.
We were like sleeping on Jeff Pearson's floor and like pushing chairs together. And I walked in on Alex once.
Yeah, I think I slept a total of maybe like 4 hours during the whole 48-hour
And you ate
stream.
a lot of spicy things.
Oh, I did. I did.
Eric will eat this pepper if you donate $20.
I did. I fucking ate those peppers. They were delicious and painful.
Yeah.
But yeah. So we formed Packed House under those circumstances. We wanted to do stuff that was like not just charity, so we decided to do a
Fuck them.
Yeah. So yeah, we had the Achievemates and Game Breakers and Out Loud Thinking. We all essentially left those channels to
And
make
Ben.
one. Yeah, and Ben. Sorry, Ben. Love you, buddy. To make one major channel essentially where we wanted to do Let's Plays and game reviews and podcasts and just anything gaming culture. We wanted to do it, so
Yeah.
we did. So yeah.
Sorry, I was burping.
We brought you to not to tears, but
But
to
to
indigestion.
indigestion. That's how we roll.
Yep, I really felt it right here.
Going back to the 48 live stream,
Yeah.
that like I remember hearing about it like the 1 or 2 days before I left for Michigan, and I watched the live stream from there. But I remember getting in contact with you, Kelly, about
Yes.
possibly having Spank and Jake show up because it's
Yeah,
something like I would love to have like us participating as well, maybe as like extra personality or just extra content.
I swear, if I had $1 for every time we were like, we should really hit up Spank and Jake. Like,
Yes.
like
Yes.
that is of all the collaborations that we've wanted to do. I think Spank and Jake is probably the most brought up.
And it's like
Which is-
everybody. It's not just us. Like even
Yeah.
John will be like, I really need to get in touch with Spank and Jake.
It's so weird because I feel like, or at least from my perspective, I'm sure he can relate. Like, and I'm also sorry from facing away from the camera just to look. Okay,
Like, I'm a camera.
camera,
mean microphone.
microphone.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was like, are we being recorded?
There's a mic on
I
the
didn't do
camera.
my makeup.
Anyway, okay, where was I? Anyway, oh my god, I legit lost my train of thought.
Okay,
We
let
wanted
me
to
let me think if I
collaborate.
telepathically got you.
All right, I just got it. So go ahead.
I
Go ahead.
sent it to you.
Brain email.
Oh, I
You going?
I said go ahead.
Not everyone
I
at once,
said go
guys.
ahead. I gave you the okay.
Okay, so with my assumption,
Uh-huh.
because I'd probably relate,
I mean,
I know I relate, hopefully, if I'm correct, that compared to like the size of like all your collaborative like efforts, like even you guys joining the channel together, Spank and Jake never really felt like it was on the map. So to hear you guys constantly, wanting to bring up like us in content or anything like that, it seems like I don't know the right word for it.
Unreal.
Kinda. It's not something we would typically expect because like we've always been like under the radar for a lot of people.
And that's one of the things that we yeah, I mean, really, so are we. But that was one of the things that was another thing we always discussed was like, how are they not bigger? You guys, not to like stroke your dicks or anything, but
Constant John,
stroking.
John's like, they're so funny, and I'm like, I know.
Yeah, you guys are really great. So,
Every time I'm editing those videos, I'm just like, God damn, that was the stupidest thing I just said. And then there's Jacob, who's just like berating me for what I just said being so stupid. I'm just like, people laugh at that?
I mean, have you watched our videos?
But the thing is, like, y'all didn't even see the stuff that they came out with before they started uploading. Like,
Matt experienced us.
Like, I
no
experienced
one
them
else.
right at the beginning.
Just raw spanking Jake.
Oh yeah, they
and
Matt
that was
experienced like infant us.
and that was before they wanted to do, you know, kind of trim out some of the extra fat.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd sit there and listen to them when I was first starting with them for like 5 hours out of my day, just listening to them in my ears. And I will never forget one conversation that I made sure got re-brought back up later.
We still have it, by the way. Just we have the footage and everything.
We need to at least just this conversation.
Well, can I set it up a little bit?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
All right, so we.
Spanky's dying.
Yeah, right, Spanky.
No, this is what we mentioned to you briefly that we didn't really finish getting into.
At Waffle
recently.
House?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eric.
Yes.
I realize we're not.
Yeah, there's no cameras.
Anyway,
Yet.
but we played and beat the original Jack and Daxter together, and it never saw the live day. Never, but we still have everything. And it was a conversation that I don't know why it ever happened, but it did. And go ahead.
So they were talking about animals that if their, you know, significant other got turned into an animal, and you were told that the only way for them to turn back is to have sex with them, what animal would you be okay with your significant other turning into? Now, I can't remember Jacob's answer.
I can tell you what my answer was.
Yeah, what was your answer? Because I can't remember
I said
that.
cow.
The obvious choice.
Now, before I get Jacob to explain why, the answer that Clinton gave was by far the most funny. He was like, well, I mean, of course, like, a bear. and
With such confidence. Like,
Yeah.
I knew what I was
like,
getting
he was
into.
Clearly, I mean,
he was like,
anyone in
why
their
would-
right mind.
Yeah, he was like, why wouldn't you pick a bear? And Jacob's just sitting there, like, speechless for a second. And then he goes, wait, why what? Huh? Why a bear? And Clinton's just like, well, of course. I mean, it makes the most sense for a guy like me. You know, I'm a bigger dude, so, you know, need something that's gonna, you know, be able to be big with me, and then I can really get in there and do my thing.
I need an
And
animal
I'm-
that can handle me.
And I'm just like, I'm sitting there listening to this, and when they were like, yeah, I think we're gonna cut the whole Jack and Dexter thing for now and maybe come back to that one later, I'm just sitting there going, that conversation is gonna get lost in the ether. No. Like, the rest of it, okay, fine, we can re-record stuff. But that conversation is just one in a million.
You know, it still exists in our hearts. Because we've constantly brought... Here. We've brought it up multiple times. Like, even in
Wait,
other
that
podcasts.
conversation? Or
Yeah.
Yeah, because I will not let that disappear.
Also, do you want to know?
Yeah, why would you go with a cow?
Because he lives in Abbeville.
No.
Cattle festival.
easy
Cattle
access.
fuckable.
No. Obviously, I picked a cow because I feel like they wouldn't really fight it.
They'll just be chewing grass. It's like, I'm okay with this.
Exactly.
Keep in mind,
I am
It's
least
my cow
likely
impression.
to be injured. That is what I was thinking.
keep in mind, this is still your significant other turned into an animal. So you're telling me that if it was any other animal, she would just turn around and be like, I have claws. Fuck this bitch. And just maul him? Like,
Well, you know, okay, well, I'm assuming they just wouldn't have any sort of, you know.
oh, okay.
But
okay.
also, I don't even remember that part of the conversation. I don't even remember a significant other changing into anything. I just remember the
You just
whole.
wanted to fuck a
It's
cow.
like, what
No!
animal would you fuck?
Okay, do you,
Okay,
you
wait,
don't
wait, wait,
understand
wait,
how many
wait,
times I
wait.
rewound and listened to that, though.
Okay, well, okay. That's weird. Funny. But all right, so Matt and Kelly and Eric, if you're a significant other, turn into an animal, and the only way to turn them back was to fuck them as an animal. What animal would it be?
Does a centaur count? Because they're still human.
No,
Yeah.
no, it's a hybrid. It's like a half
no.
human.
It's gotta be like a
like
real
a
animal.
thing
Yeah,
that
real.
exists. Yeah.
Centaurs exist. Come on.
Right?
Right?
I mean, it's in Danny, Don't You Know? They
Yeah, I mean,
exist.
clearly they're real.
Where'd he get a centaur? I don't know, a horse?
Okay.
Someone's tried
So
and has
I
died.
can't pick a cow, but you just pick a horse, bruh.
Why a horse? Why would John be a horse? Oh!
See, I
You
caught on to
wouldn't
that.
notice a difference.
Eric,
Well, that's
your
more than
turn.
I would like to know. Boy. I've really put a whole lot of thought into this over the years.
I put 0 thought. I just first animal that came to mind.
Jeez. A raccoon.
Whoa!
They're vicious.
I
Why?
don't know.
Weird.
I like raccoons, not in that kind of way, but
Not like
They're
not
cool
like
animals.
A sexy cheetah.
And I mean,
that's,
well, you know, I
that was last year's Halloween costume.
the reason I didn't pick a smaller animal is because I didn't want to murder it.
I was kind of in that same wavelength, but I think I wanted the bear to distinguish me as another, like, a bigger size mammal.
Oh, see, I want the raccoon to
And-
fear me. You will remember my cock.
Oh, God!
I'm uncomfortable.
You're going home with him.
No, he's riding home with me
Yeah.
when he's going home.
To make that clear.
I remember there was one part in that whole conversation where my reasoning exactly was because it can relate because I also have like bear claws. Like I was talking like the stretch marks on my body. Like it looked like I was attacked by a bear, so I can like assert my dominance on this
Oh,
bear
yeah.
because I've survived it before.
You really thought this out.
She would just be like, "Oh,
We had a.
And the funny part was they were having this conversation while trying to complete the first early like race in the game, essentially,
Oh.
and they failed on that race. Like, I'd want to say like 30 times. It was a lot.
It was a healthy number.
It was such like an infant stage of Spank and Drake to where like we didn't really know how to act in front of the microphone.
Yeah.
To the point where like there were just moments of silence and then we would be angry at each other after the recording.
Hold that thought. We didn't get to Matt.
oh,
I was hoping you forgot. I don't know. Like, that's a hard thing to ask. Like, why did y'all have to come up with this way those years ago?
I have an answer.
It
But-
seems like you thought about it a lot, so I feel like
Yeah.
you have an answer.
So I'd probably go with some form of like cat type mammal, but larger cat, because I don't
Like a
want to
sexy
kill it
Like
like,
a-
a
like a-
monster.
like a cougar.
Cougar.
Yeah.
And that probably solely comes from one thing:
You?
growing up, my love of anime. So cat girls.
Oh.
Sorry.
okay.
I'm
fair.
stereotypical.
There's a fetish behind it, so it's more understandable.
Yeah.
That's fair."
Yeah,
So
actually,
does
I
that
don't
mean you have
even-
a fetish for bears?
No. I
Don't
needed to
open my
relate.
closet.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sorry.
But yeah, going back, the whole reason why that conversation even came to be was because in these moments of quiet where we were just trying to eliminate all this dead air, for whatever reason, I thought it was just a good idea to just read a list of questions. And we filled maybe an episode's worth of content with just me 20 questioning Jacob.
Yeah. That's one of the cool things about doing this kind of stuff is you can look back to when you started it and realize how far you've come. Not just video
The
quality, but
distance.
just discussion and how you interact with the people that you're doing this with. Because I think about when I did Game Breakers years ago, and how our conversations went, and we had a similar discussion on Game Breakers where I remember asking Colin, I was like, what's one weird food that you would be willing to try? And Colin was like, calamari, I guess. I was like, well, that's way more tame than what I was gonna say. He's like, what are you gonna say? And I was like, bull testicles.
Rocky Mountain oysters, baby.
Yeah.
I've tried both of those.
But oh, really?
I haven't had the
What
Rocky
was-
Mountain oysters. would
I
love
have
to
had
try.
those. They're not as good as some people make them out to be, and it's weird to say it, but you take a bite and you're like, that's oddly juicy.
Oh no.
Calamari, really actually great.
Calamari's
I like-
great.
yeah,
I
we
love
just had it the
calamari.
other
Yeah,
day.
yeah, we did.
And then I've also had cow tongue and brain.
Oh.
Oh.
That was
dare you.
actually not on purpose.
You ate Jake's girlfriend.
Well, no, I had gone to this restaurant and I was like, that sounds good on the menu. And the person I was with was like, oh, and that sounds good. So we ordered it. And then I was like, man, this tastes really good, but it's got this weird, like, texture to it. It's almost like gel, but meat. And it was confusing. And then I was like, waiter, what type of meat is this? And they're like, oh, that's you've got the cow brain, she's got the cow tongue. And I just went, all right, I guess I like cow brain, and just kept eating. And it tastes good if it's cooked right. It's just a weird texture. It's like a weird mix between like ground beef and like the texture of the inside of a tomato.
Okay.
That's interesting. Jeez. But no, what was I saying? Oh yeah, about like when it's so interesting when you start off doing this kind of stuff. How you naturally get better at it and you grow, and like I was having a discussion with Mark, who's on the channel recently, and he was talking about how like he likes doing Let's Plays and stuff, but he feels like he's not good at banter. And I was like, well, I mean, the cool thing is like you do get better with it over time. It's something that it's like riding a bike. Like once you've got a hang of it, like you should be good. And I think like, where am I going with this? I think
It's like riding a bike, Eric.
yeah, right. No,
Well, it's because after we came back from our hiatus and we recorded the first thing a few weeks ago, like John and Eric were visibly frustrated. And I didn't realize that. I was in the living room. I think I was catching up on This Is Us. John refuses to watch it. So I'm like, you go do your thing. I'm going to watch this and cry a little bit, and then I'll come meet you guys. So when the show ended, I had plenty of time, and I popped in, and I just started chatting. Like, and there's this, like...
there's a notable change in the commentary once Kelly started just, like, talking.
Yeah.
Like,
And there really is, like, this formula where you've got the one person playing the game, one person is keeping them company, and then that third person is like the conversation mover. You know, and so that was kind of our thing, but they talked about it afterwards and they were like, man, just getting back into it, we forgot that we can talk about things other than the game.
Yeah.
You know, and so that was kind of a...
I think the thing that people enjoy most watching any kind of stuff like that is just feeling like you're sitting on the couch with your bros playing video games and having discussions about random stuff. And I think that's one of the things that we liked about you guys is that like you guys are really genuine when you talk about stuff. I personally have never been a huge fan of the Markipliers and the Jacksepticeye's just because like it's like putting on like a persona almost.
Good morning, Diane.
Yeah, like and like there are tons of people who love that stuff, and I'm not saying anything negative about those people who do that kind of content. That works for them, and that's great. I've always felt like it's cool to be real with your audience, and I think that's like super important when you do stuff like this. Is just to be genuine. Yeah. Dialogue.
Trialogue.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna continue that. Quadalogue.
Quintalogue! The next one is sexalogue.
Yeah, I was kind of holding that one back. And
I was waiting for somebody to say it.
Going back, I feel the same as you. Like I can't really watch PewDiePie often, but he does like a lot of insane editing because he has that crew behind him.
He's also changed like an awful lot compared to some of the other guys.
Oh man, yes.
Yeah, I actually like him now more than I used to. I used to really dislike his content.
I
think nowadays I like it more, but at the same time, it's still not completely for me. But when I watch it now versus when I watched it back then, I have a much bigger respect for it. Because he does seem like he's at least upfront a little bit more honest about who he is and being himself.
I think he can be because he's not with he was with Maker,
I think
He was with Maker.
and then they were like, Disney owns us. Bloop. Bye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will always say that like Achievement Hunter, like Rooster Teeth and Game Grumps have always
Yes.
been kind of like my inspiration behind all this, mainly because of like Aaron and Danny's chemistry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it
Perfect.
doesn't matter what the fuck Aaron's doing or how bad he is at the game. Danny's always there to make him laugh or make the situation 10 times better. And I've always wanted to like kind of recreate that with Jacob.
Didn't we like we like the reason we started was because I approached you about it, but I was like, I remember you showing me Game Grumps, and I was like, I don't know if I told you it at the time, but I was like, well, I can do this. We can do this.
The whole premise of Game Breakers, Colin introduced me to Game Grumps, and we were watching John Era where they were playing Sonic 06.
That's when I came in. by
Yeah,
the way.
and they never finished Sonic 06. Like that's unfinished. And I remember telling, I was like, why don't we finish it? He was like, what? So he started the channel, but that was the whole premise. Is like we were heavily inspired by Game Grumps for sure.
Yeah.
I know, like, as far as editing goes, Barry was huge inspiration for the way I do edits and stuff on Let's Plays and content and stuff. And what about you, Kelly?
Well, while we're on the topic of Game Grumps, no, my first experience really with that kind of like Let's Play, because I would get stuck. I'd be like playing my DS or whatever. I get stuck and I would go look at a walkthrough, and I'd be like, oh, that's what I'm supposed to do. Okay, pause, move on. And I never realized there was a whole world out there of people who played for funsies and who like joked with each other while they played. And so when I started dating John, he would send me Game Grumps videos and I would never watch them because I didn't get it. And I was just like, okay. And so the first time I watched it, like I truly sat down and watched a Game Grumps video was when they did Sakura's Spirit. And
no.
so we were at my old apartment and we're sitting there. We watched it for hours. And like the craziest thing, I laughed so hard I got a fever. Like I know I actually got sick. I had to call into work the next day. But like I laughed so hard I started to like hurt like in my like the back of my neck and everything. And then I just like burnt up. And John was like, bruh, you have a fever. I was like, I got the Game Grumps fever. And like the rest is history. I'm like obviously obsessed. But yeah.
Kelly's wearing a Ninja Sex Party t-shirt.
Yeah, the tour shirt. But like John knows we're very open about this, but Danny is my pass. Yeah, I told him that when we went to see Game Grumps live, but I didn't tell him until afterwards. So like we went to see them in Houston and we're sitting there and I'm just all googly eyed at the stage, And so afterwards I was like, by the way, Danny's my pass. And he's like, bro, why didn't you tell me that before?
Danny's my pass.
Yeah. And so I was like, I mean, he's like 100 feet away. You know what I mean? Like I can't.
I could just,
I could just like walk up. Like I'm not gonna say what I was gonna say.
I was waiting. I was like, go on.
See, but that leads me to wonder, who is everyone else's pass?
Ooh, everybody tell.
Yeah. Like if you were in a long committed relationship, who is the one person on this planet that you were like, you'd be like, okay, I love you, but if I'm ever offered to have sex with this person, I'm gonna take it, and you're gonna be okay with this.
Probably the raccoon.
Wait, that doesn't count. That's your girlfriend.
Damn it.
Amber would be a cute raccoon.
Oh yeah, the cutest.
A very smart raccoon.
Oh yeah.
You find her at home, like it's Halloween, she's dressed as a raccoon, just winking at you.
Just like,
really heavy, like mascara and eyeshadow.
And then he just walks in and is like, you're gonna remember this guy. So Spanky, your pass?
Oh man.
Is that the bear?
No. Again, that would be my girlfriend. Let's see. I've always had a list of like men I always thought was attractive. Like
Brendan
men that I
Urie.
would go gay
Brendan
for.
Urie's
Brendan
my other
fucking
pass.
Urie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's my other pass.
Jesus, that is a beautiful man.
He's been my pass since 2005.
I think
but anyway.
like
See, I'm
I
glad
can
I'm
think of
not the
I can
first
think of
one
like
to bring that up.
3 guys
Wasn't
like
he,
right now.
16 or something. Wait, how? He's
They-
not that. He's like pretty young.
Yeah, he's my age, so he would have been. Let's see, in 2005, I was 19.
I'm sorry, what?
So he would have also been. I was very young in 2005.
You guys are looking at me.
Yeah,
I was
but-
ready.
Yeah, but you don't have like. Wait, so the men's names? You just said.
I do have men in my mind. I'm
Okay,
thinking
well,
about them right now.
who
and
are
how
they?
attractive they are.
Wait, does it?
Who are
Wait,
they?
wait.
That's the question.
Wait, is this like a genuine answer? Because I mean, I don't think the
I never
question.
really-
I don't think the question was like who you would go gay for. I think it was who's your.
But what if
pat.
they're one and the same?
Are they though?
Yeah, for me they are.
I honestly don't have an answer. It's that specific question, like Enrique Iglesias, Charlie Simpson, Gerard Butler.
Okay.
Like,
See,
I
now
would-
that's an answer.
I would allow all of them.
Cole and
To-
Dylan Sprouse.
Not one.
It's got to be the whole package.
I mean, really, they could
All
swap
three.
out, and I'd never know.
Give her the sweet life.
See, for me, like, if say I'm not like for some reason allowed to go gay for a man, as
You're
far
not
as
allowed.
yeah, as far as like for women, probably Jennifer Lawrence.
Uh-huh.
I don't know
That's a
why.
good choice.
She's just
It's
all
Yeah.
around attractive, right? Now, if it was a man, anybody ever seen the show White Collar?
Yes.
Matt Bomer is the most attractive
Okay,
man on
yeah.
this earth.
Oh.
He's beautiful.
I'm a completely straight man. I'm a completely straight man. I've never once been attracted to other men until I watched that show and I went, you know
what? Dicks.
that looks like an interesting life I could have.
He'd treat me well.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
Your
your
turn.
turn now.
you know, I had this whole time to think of one. Gosh. Pass. For now, I'll come
Okay.
back.
Really?
So
Okay.
Eric never like gave us a real answer.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, it's still just the raccoon.
Oh man.
So even if it wasn't your girlfriend, just any raccoon?
Yeah, just some fucking trash panda.
Oh my god.
No,
I know that
Gosh,
John's
it's
is
like
Anna Kendrick.
when
rolling
I think
around
of
in
like
the
when I
trash.
think of like
Ooh, that's a good one.
when I think of like beautiful people, Brendan Urie really just sticks out.
And he's bi. Like, he's come out as bi, so you
Such
have a chance.
Such a handsome dude. Holy shit.
He is.
That and Ryan Reynolds.
yeah.
Yeah.
Ryan
Yeah.
Reynolds, yeah, that'd be a good.
Because he'd
one.
make you laugh while he's boning you.
Oh yeah.
See, like, I go back and forth about Ryan Reynolds because, yes, he's very good looking, but, like, he is an asshole, and I don't know that I could deal with that all the time. Like, as Deadpool, fine, that's great. But, like, as a
Oh.
human being, I would just be like, shut up.
That makes me think about Deadpool cosplayers. And, like how douchey they are.
You're getting
Are
off
they-
topic.
I know.
Give us a pass, man.
I came up with one, by the way, if you wanna.
Yeah, I
Go
said
for
Brendan Urie.
You sticking
Oh yeah,
around?
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
true, sure. John Cena.
But you couldn't
Because-
see him while
I don't need to.
you were like, where's the hole?
All I gotta do is feel him.
Feel him deep.
So I
if
it
never
didn't
mind, I was
work
gonna
out.
say-
I'm pretty sure he's single again. So I mean,
Oh, yes.
Is he?
It was like this major upset heartbreak.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
watch wrestling at all.
Oh, I remember hearing
I don't
about that.
even-
Yeah.
I gotta
I-
love how like all the guys at the table immediately popped out with dudes they'd have as a
Yeah.
match.
Right?
I'm the
that's
only
more
one that was like,
interesting.
oh, as a woman, I'd go
look,
for this
I'll,
person.
Yeah, I'll throw it out there if I can think of one. Okay.
I
but-
do
I already got
I
one.
do have
I already
a
got
woman.
one.
Oh, who's the woman?
Dude,
Pam
oh, yeah?
from The Office.
Who?
Yeah,
She was
that's
such
a-
like a homebody, like
Who?
a perfect lady.
Pam from The
Oh, Pam.
Oh, yeah.
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 Yeah, I can agree with that one. And
Mine is Natalie Dormer.
also
She's
a
very
good one.
pretty.
Something with that crooked
Marjorie
mouth.
from-
My God.
Wait, what?
I'm serious.
Marjorie Tyrell. From Game of
Ooh.
Thrones.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That-
Same though.
That,
Yeah.
like, side mouth is hot.
Wait.
We're waiting.
You said Tyrell, right? One of the.
Tyrell.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And he doesn't agree with me, but there's this girl who works at one of the subways in town that looks just like her.
Well.
Nope. Nope. Don't see it whatsoever.
She looks like not at, I don't know. She's obviously, she works at Subway. She's not in makeup and, but
And he's blind. We also got to account for that.
Yeah.
you know what? It's whatever.
I'm gonna Facebook stalk her. Except that I deleted Facebook today, so.
Oh,
maybe
did
I'm
you?
not-
Really?
Yeah,
I did that a while back too. It's pretty
I
nice.
took the app off my phone because my family's nuts.
Ah.
Oh, I
okay.
just straight
Yeah.
up deleted the whole account. I
Yeah.
was like, you know what? I don't need this shit.
This
If
motherfucker
I
went
And then
didn't
we
run
were scared.
pages-
Oh yeah, I experienced a breakup, and like it was a bad one. We had been engaged for a while,
Nice.
and then I had my phone and computer both broke in the same week, so I also replaced my phone and my number, and then that same week I also completely deleted Facebook. These motherfuckers thought I had gone off like the deep end.
Yeah, we were so scared.
He was like radio silent, and I literally could not get in
That's
touch with
fair
him.
though. Like that's a terrifying
Yeah,
thing.
like I see in hindsight, like yeah, did it fuck me up? And is it still fucking me up? Yeah, but am I going to like, go insane? No, probably not. I would assume.
But maybe reach out to people once
Yeah, I
you get
probably
know, we're here,
should
buddy.
have. And I meant to give Spanky my number, and I was like, oh yeah, I need to make sure to text Spanky my new number. And then that day I just got distracted by the new computer, so
That's fair.
I
Shiny things.
completely forgot. And then like, what was it? 2 weeks ago now?
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago, I'm at work, and I work 6 days a week, and I work a lot. And he calls me, and he's like, dude, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah. Why? And he's like, I had to find your number. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I didn't give that to you, did I?
I had to stalk this guy. I had to
He,
literally
like,
go through like all of
found,
his
like,
social media
the
that he's still
website
out
that I
there.
made for my school project right before I graduated, like my WordPress, go through a number on there, then find my Google number, call that, and luckily it connected.
It was so obscure and like out of my way, but I fucking did it. I love you,
Yeah,
man.
we were even like we were in like conversation with each other. Like, should we approach her, like his ex?
Uh-huh.
I mean, didn't you message her?
I did. Never got a response.
Never respond. Well,
and
that's
now
fine. It
we
worked
know
out.
why we didn't get a response.
Yeah.
Right.
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Man.
Yeah, but don't just like disappear, man. It's not cool.
I'm sorry. Just between work and that, it was like I didn't really have time for anything else in life. I was just like, I'm just gonna work more. That's fine.
Sometimes it's good to do you for a little while when you do it.
Yeah. So like, and these guys aren't the only ones who like freaked out. Like immediately, like my coworkers and my best friend Dylan were all like, "Hey, we should start playing D&D more often, man. Like, just to keep tabs with you, so everybody gets to see each other more often." And I'm like looking at them like, "You motherfuckers think I'm gonna go crazy?" and they're just looking at me like, "Yeah, pretty much."
You go over and they're just hiding all the knives without you knowing.
Your character is not allowed to have a weapon.
Yeah, so we're like playing D&D,
Or shoestrings.
and one night it was like right after the breakup happened, and they're like, we're coming up on like this enemy camp, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go and like grab that knife, and the DM just looks at me sideways and goes, the knife turns into a rubber chicken, and I was like, wait, what? And they kept fucking with me all night. And then at the end of the game, I'm like, why is it every time I reach for a weapon or try to do anything violent, y'all stop me? And they're like, we're just worried. Some of your tendencies might come out in game. And I'm like, guys, I'm going to be fine. And they're like, yeah, but you haven't, like, outside of game, you haven't talked to us, texted us. I'm like, I'm good. And they're like, uh-huh, yeah. Yeah.
We're just gonna take away these
Okay.
weapons just in case.
I had my D&D character flash somebody so we could get in. We could like cause a distraction.
Did it work?
What was the role?
I was a ranger. I've only ever played D&D once.
Oh,
Wasn't your name Ford and you were a
Yes.
ranger?
My name was Ford Ranger.
What was John's name? It was amazing.
John's was Wayne Snoops, the protector of the sand disk.
See, I get clearly way more into it because, like, I have a full-fledged name. I have a 10-page backstory written up. I'm Thomas Eisenhoff, the Russian immigrant to America turned pilot.
We were awful, and our DM like sighed heavily at us multiple times because we
Y'all
had
had
never played
before, yeah.
We had never played, and like we can't take anything seriously. So they're like, "This is the game. This is how we play it," and we were like, "Cool."
I mean, that's the thing about DMing though. Is like you try to set up a path for your players to go through, and they just fuck it up.
Oh yeah,
immediately.
no,
Like,
we fuck it up
give it 5
every
minutes
time for our DM, and like he set up this really intricate world with like every character has a backstory. He has like family trees for characters we haven't even met yet, and we're never gonna meet their family, and like he came up with like different dialects. Like he's big into story building, but he knows that we're gonna fuck it up. So anything once we start playing goes. That's why my character, because randomly we were all drinking whiskey, so we were a little drunk, and I was like, I'm gonna roll because now that I'm out of the cryopod, I want to see how big my hoo-hoo is. And I rolled a 15. And he's like, well, you now have a 15-inch dick. And I was like, sweet. And then my buddy, he rolls and he's like, haha, 17. And I was like, I looked at my character sheet and I was like, but I have +2 to deception, so everybody thinks it's 17. That way we're equal. So like,
If you look at it like this.
we brought
When
in
I
a new
shave.
guy into our game, and it's a like post-apocalyptic game. It's really weird, but eventually it's going to be a Star Wars game once we like leave Earth. And we met a guy who's force sensitive, and when we brought him into the game, he was like fucking with us, and he was like, you know what? They don't know I'm force sensitive yet. I'm gonna pants one of them, and he chose to pants me, and the guy who joined us, he's gay, so we kind of fucked with him a little bit when he was like, you pants him, and you see dick, and more dick, and it's just going and going, and then you finally see the head, and your wildest dreams have been completed. You won the game. Make a new character. Your goal has been achieved. You have nothing else left you want to do in life.
Well, I know what I'm gonna do the next time we play D&D.
Roll for dick size.
The biggest dick.
The biggest dick. Oh boy.
Not 20. It's just a weapon at that point.
Well, we did have one dude lose an arm, so we found
He replaced it with his dick, didn't he?
No, he found a prosthetic,
It was a
but
dick.
we don't have a tech guy
Just
who knows how to
unscrew it off
attach a mechanical arm, so he just runs around beating people with a mechanical arm instead of actually using the arm.
Y'all ever played Dante's Inferno?
No.
Yes.
Nope.
The last boss against Satan. Just got a whopping peen, just walking around and flopping everywhere.
Like every boss in that game has either got a giant penis.
Dude, the
Or
lust
just
boss,
boob
I will
everywhere.
never unsee that.
Yes.
Please tell me, like, the penis has, like, a hitbox.
I believe it does.
Yes.
But the lust boss, now that I think about it, the lust boss was so weird. She's gigantic titties with mouths on them that spew out sluts. Just like, it's so gross. And the
So-
sluts like fight with their vaginas. Yeah.
Whoa.
But here's the
it's
thing.
insane.
Here's the thing, though, you got to think about, right?
I've never
so
played
like,
this.
Oh,
as,
you wanna
as
play
somebody
that.
who,
Missing out.
people who are like artists, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, at some point in their life, they've drawn a dick, and they're like, this is nothing. Just draw a giant dick. Didn't see my future going here, but whatever. And then they have to hand that over to the guy who makes the model and the hitbox.
Uh-huh.
You know, he never in a million years thought he would be painstakingly, pixel by pixel, drawing a hitbox around a giant dick.
I mean, there's nowhere else to go. Like, that's the top right there. Like, that's the pinnacle of your creative career.
Yeah, he just walks in, his resume says, made hitbox for dick.
Yeah.
But also, they had a budget, and someone told them to do it to begin with.
Like, in the credits, it's
Like-
like his name, Dick Physics. Like, there's just one guy just in
Well,
a dark
in the
corner
new
of
Red
the
Dead, they
room,
have
just
ball
like,
physics,
this is
so
my life
somebody
now.
had to do that.
Yeah.
Like that was approved. Like they submitted it, and someone was like, "That's a nice dick."
Yeah, we'll go with that.
I really like the physics on this.
It's got a nice sway
We're gonna
to
get
it.
an award for this.
And then the way it just bounces against his leg.
They just jostle.
just really makes it feel like I'm there.
Y'all are in like this whole realm that I have no clue. I'm just like,
I'm sorry. Like, okay, like every time this happens,
You guys want to talk about boobs?
You would think, but no, we just talk about peen. This is the remainder of the podcast. Good stuff.
there's always a derailment to.
Yeah,
to just,
like
Oh,
we
yeah.
start a serious conversation about life and theology and history.
Yeah, you were just talking about some
And
heavy
then-
shit. Now we're talking
and
about
then
penis.
Boom, penises everywhere.
It's the natural progression.
Indeed.
I can just imagine like the one guy who was like actually working on that graphic, just like kind of like sulking in his bedroom, like late at night with a bottle of vodka, just like just stick.
He's got like
It's all
he's
just stick.
yeah, he's got like great ideas, like big dreams, but he's just stuck making penises for a living.
But then he finds the Death Note. And that's the backstory.
Like now I want to like I would love to write a character for like a short film who's like he's gone through school, he's put countless hours into mastering his craft, gets at the dream job at the game development place he's always wanted to work at. His first assignment, make the biggest, most beautiful dick. How depressing must that be?
Just like the
I don't know if I
montage
like
of him,
if I got a
painting.
big break and like they were like, "Hey, can you make this penis?" I'd be like, "Sure." Like, I'm getting paid for it. Cool.
Like, that's gonna be the best damn penis you've ever fucking seen.
How much time do I have? 5 months?
You got it.
You're like,
And I get paid like every day? Like,
do I get to upscale this to 6K?
Ooh, can I use my own as like for textures?
Using your own dick for a reference, you just like sit like, just yeah.
Taking pictures of my dick.
No, he's
What are
like
you
he's
doing?
walking.
Art.
It's art. Leave me alone.
He's walking just in different like rooms just for the lighting, just to see how it reflects
Just
against
going
his
a
nuts.
whole, like lighting system on his dick.
well, yeah, you gotta set up the mood. Like,
You're like-
you know, like you
Some
have to-
intern comes in and is like, "What the fuck? That's just Jim. Leave him alone. Let him do his thing."
He's been doing it for so long, he has to find new creative ways to get
it's
him hard
the,
again.
The art of the
It's
dick.
the creative process at work. Just let him do his thing.
And
all
you
right?
like you have like a nice little like collection of like watches and rings whenever you take the picture.
This has gone way too far.
It has not gone far enough.
Oh, God.
I'm pretty sure I'm like mute for like most of this because of the way I'm facing most of the time.
Well, anytime either me or Jacob talk, we have to lean in, so we got to make sure when we talk,
Oh yeah.
it's perfect.
Yep.
That's gonna sound so good.
Just the one thing.
Oh man. What
Hire me, Team 4-star.
What were you gonna say, Matt?
I was going to say, I mean, if y'all want to get the conversation back on some level of track, we can be like,
What were you talking about?
hey, like, what games have y'all been playing?
I was
recently?
actually gonna ask the exact same thing. So yeah, that
Yay!
works. Yeah.
Being professional-ish.
Really, the last game I played was, Spider-Man.
Oh,
Just
such a
Spider-Man.
good game. So good. It's actually the first game I've ever platinumed. I was super proud of it.
Oh, yeah, I platinumed it on the hardest difficulty, well, the hardest difficulty at the time, in 5 days, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, it matched up with, like, the one day I get off per week, so I played it for 12 hours straight, and that gave me a good head start.
Oh yeah.
The game is so phenomenal in every way, and then you get to the end of the game, and you're like, wow, that was a really great game. What do I do now? Going through the option menu, oh, there's a picture mode, and then you get lost in
Yeah.
that.
Oh yeah. Photo mode is beautiful in that game. Super good.
And then when you get to finally like zoom in on the suits, you're like, holy shit, they actually put textures on these things.
Yeah, they're super detailed.
It's ridiculous.
I specifically love the vintage suit, the one that like anytime you take a photo with it, it looks like a comic book drawing.
Oh, yeah.
The cell shaded one. It's
Oh,
so
yeah.
good.
I still think my favorite is the Scarlet Spider where he's got the blue hoodie.
Oh, the blue hoodie. Yeah.
I love that one. And then
That's pretty
one
rad.
day I was taking pictures and I was like, ooh, what if I do like this cool, like he's looking far off away, you know, he takes up the full left side of the frame, and I'm like, because I went to film school. I have a degree. So I'm like getting real deep into it. And then I zoomed in a little too much by accident and went, do the strings on his hoodie have a... Holy shit, the strings have a texture. And I immediately dialed my best friend and I'm like, hey, when you borrow my PlayStation, make sure to zoom in on the strings of this hoodie. And he was like,
What are you calling me for?
And I'm like,
It's
just
5 in the
make
morning.
sure to zoom in. And I hung
The
up.
strings.
Strings.
Just like losing his
The
shit.
alien meme guy.
Though, like, in all seriousness, I don't know about for the rest of you at the table, but for me, my favorite part of like the story of that game was Mary Jane.
Wait.
Before we
What?
spoil
I
anything.
never beat the game.
Like, no, I'm not gonna spoil anything, but just how her
How
character,
she's portrayed.
Yeah, not just her portrayal, but whoever they got to act as her, just was like, in my opinion, that was the best acted.
Like her
Mary
mocap?
Jane everywhere, not just her mocap, but also the voice like,
Acting and stuff.
and all that.
As a whole.
And it's like, just as a whole, like that was the best portrayed Mary Jane I've ever experienced in any medium of Spider-Man. And I've been watching and consuming Spider-Man since I was like the size of a pea.
Yeah, I love to eat. I love to eat Spider-Man.
As we can tell from your shirt.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I am wearing that. I forgot to put that on. No, I like that they went with the whole like she has like a very Lois Lane vibe. Like she's doing the
Yeah.
reporter path and everything, working
And
for Daily
a lot of
Bugle.
people
And
were like really mad at first, but then as they played through the game, they fell in love with her.
I
Like,
think
She would have been...
Insomniac did a really good job of
Oh, yeah.
making their own universe. I think
oh yeah, and then
they took enough liberties that they made it their own thing, but it's not like anything crazy.
yeah, and when I first found out that it was Insomniac making it, I was super excited because I've loved every game they've ever made, and Sunset Overdrive is still to this day, in my opinion, the most underrated game of all time.
That was
That's one of my
fantastic.
favorites.
Yeah,
Insomniac's one of the most underrated developers.
well, not anymore.
No, now they're huge, but
Yeah.
before they were. I mean, they had like Ratchet and Clank and Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah,
Like,
that was pretty much it. It was like Ratchet and Clank and like a couple other like side shoot
Who worked
games.
on the infamous games?
that was Sucker Punch. That is my
Okay,
favorite
that's
game
why I was
company.
confusing them.
That,
No, I was too. It
Yeah.
wasn't just you. Okay.
Yeah.
yeah, because actually before it was Insomniac who was attached to make the game. It was actually Sucker Punch originally who Marvel was talking to, and then I can't remember why, but they stepped back from Sucker Punch and called Insomniac and was like, "We think y'all would actually be a better fit," and that was actually right after I think it was Sunset Overdrive had come out. But they were like, nope, they're going to be the better
Yeah.
fit.
And I think also there might have been a thing of because Sucker Punch is coming out with Ghost of Tsushima, so they might have been
Yeah.
working on development
Yeah.
for that too when they were approached. So who knows?
That is true.
What about you, Kelly?
I just beat Super Mario Odyssey.
Ooh,
I know.
That's such a nice time.
I haven't played a Mario game since like Game Boy regular.
It's worth it.
One of the funnest Mario games I've played since Sunshine.
It's so
Yes.
happy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, I
yeah.
did play Sunshine at my cousin's house. That was a really fun one.
Oh man.
It's like I completed it, and now they're like, but you can get more stars. And I'm like, okay. So I got all the stars so that I could go to the other. It's like the other
Dark
side,
side.
of the moon.
Yeah,
the
Dark Side of the Moon.
So that's where I'm at now. I got frustrated with the final like boss, the levels.
Oh yeah.
So I just bought the rest of my stars.
I was super happy with the fact that they have the Mario 64 as a suit.
Dude.
Yes.
I was like, this is perfect. I can
Not
I can die
only
happy.
that, but when you were able to go to Peach's castle,
Mhm.
like
Yes.
Kingdom,
I-
that blew my mind.
When you-
Going inside of that castle again, and like you saw the same like
Mhm.
overworld.
Yes.
I loved walking into because like in Mario 64, there's when you stand in the sun carpet and you look up,
Yeah.
and then the star drops. I was like, I wonder if they kept it, and they did. They give you a star for doing that.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah, I
went and
tried it.
looked.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, well, I'm
They
gonna
give you
do that when I
something
get
for
home.
that.
And then
But-
I think they have like Toadette sitting on a throne or by the throne where Peach would be, and
Yeah.
she gives you a power moon for every
Well,
like challenge you complete.
now I have to go and do that. Thank you. But yeah, I've moved on though to Breath of the Wild. It's right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Another
I
great
keep
game.
thinking about buying a Switch
That was
specifically for that game.
That's exactly what I did.
I want to say the Nintendo Switch has probably been the heaviest hitter for Nintendo in a long
Oh,
time.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Since like the
And then-
GameCube, maybe.
I mean, they
But then
came out
again-
strong with Breath of the Wild, and then now they're looking at releasing. I think I saw their lineup about a month ago or 2 months ago, and they're looking really strong for beginning
Yeah.
of 2019.
They,
And then they're coming out with Smash soon, aren't they?
yeah, December.
Yeah, Smash
It's-
Ultimate.
It's benefited them greatly that they've got so much third-party support.
Oh yeah,
Like, I
definitely.
mean, Diablo 3 just came out for
I
the Switch,
know.
and Dark
Yeah.
Souls, and
Can we just talk about for a second the fact that they're still updating Diablo 3?
it's
Right.
amazing.
Hey, look, I've been playing that game since the day it came out. I still play it religiously.
I'm gonna play the crap out of the fourth
Like
one when it's released.
No, well, there's
eventually.
sad news on that front.
Really?
Yeah, they openly said they're not coming out with. They're not announcing a Diablo 4 at this BlizzCon, which happens in just a few days.
That's fine. That's fine. Later.
But there's a high probability of not a remake, but a remaster of Diablo 2, which is like, yay, but I'd rather a remake.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because, like, remaster, it's like, okay, cool, the graphics will look better, but it's the same game. I could just go back and play Diablo 2 like I've done multiple times.
I mean, it'll just give me like flashbacks of when I was 13 and getting murdered by like 20-year-olds.
Yeah, but, no, like, I play that game religiously. Like, one day, or just recently, about a month ago, a buddy of mine was like, so how many hours do you have? So I went on to each of my characters and hit the time button. And, like, I calculated it, and I'm a little over 2,500 hours.
Doesn't it make you feel bad a little bit?
It makes me feel bad, but then I think about, like, when it came out, and I'm like, okay, but it's kind of okay. Because, like, ever since they released, like, Reaper of Souls and started doing seasons, and they're on season 15 on the PC right now, I've made it onto the leaderboards for seasons every single season.
I used to be super devoted to Destiny. And if you go on their like website, or there's a website where it's like you can check how much time you've spent playing Destiny. And I think I had like over 700 hours clocked in. I like immediately went outside. I was like, I gotta do something.
Yeah. Oh, no. I know that feeling because
This is not a job. Oh, well.
someone's knocking at the door.
Something tells me Clinton did not advise other people.
Just edit and post.
What if it's just a nude pizza man?
I scared you.
No, random person who said boo. So, Eric, what game have you been playing recently?
So I recently picked up Red Dead Redemption 2, which
That's exactly why I asked, because
Yeah.
I knew they told me you had been playing it.
yeah, so it was an interesting purchase for me because I tried the first Red Dead. I'm not a huge Western fan at all. That genre and atmosphere just never appealed to me.
Yeah.
But I gave Red Dead a good solid try. I played it for about 4 or 5 hours, and it just didn't click with me, so I ended up just leaving it alone. But everyone and their mother was talking about Red Dead Redemption 2, and I kind of got like peer pressured into it. But I was
I
like,
thought I saw like a Facebook post like, should I get this?
yeah.
guys?
I was like, I don't know if I should. I don't know if it's gonna be for me.
And then immediately after, he's like, I bought Red Dead.
Yeah, I was like, screw it. I'll give it a shot. You know,
I'll give
I
it
was
a
like,
$60 shot.
yeah, I was like, and I was like, if it doesn't work out, like, I'll sell it to someone for like $40, you know, and you know, so thoroughly surprised. I actually, it's been pretty solid. It's one of those games where like you really just you want to turn off all your lights, like put on some headphones and just immerse yourself.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
so good at immersing yourself in this world because they have so many elements to it. Like you can go hunting. There are 500 different types of animals you can hunt in that game. Like that's insane.
I haven't seen John since he bought it.
Yeah, like it's
I
like
can
you
see
can
why.
customize all your guns and stuff. Like clothing, like depending on the season, like you gotta wear appropriate clothing.
Oh, yeah.
It's so in depth and like normally it doesn't always click with me, but I don't know, it worked. I went into it with the right mindset, I think, and that
Yeah.
helped out a lot. So I've been enjoying it a lot so far.
Yeah, me, I'm the type of person where I don't watch like a lot of trailers or anything.
Mm-hmm.
I'll usually like watch the launch or not launch trailer, but like the announcement trailer, and then like maybe look at one
One other trailer and-
non-spoilerly review of some sort. And I looked at one, and it was pretty much just said the world is super detailed and immersive, and they had me. So I pre-purchased it, and I usually don't do that, but if I'm dead positive on a game, I'll go ahead and do it just so I can preload it. And if I'm not at work or I'm not raiding in WoW, I'm doing that. Because I love just how immersive it is, because there's so many little details. I mean, you have to eat, you have to sleep, you have to try and put your character on a somewhat decent sleep cycle, get them eating somewhat healthy.
John's like, oh, did you hear my stomach? It just growled.
You need to make sure your character takes a bath, because that affects how people look at you. Like everything. So it's
beard and hair growth over time.
Yeah, beard and hair growth over time, and depending on how long it is, depends on what style you can go with. Like if you shave your beard, and then you're like, oh, but I kind of really like that style. Fuck you! You gotta wait for it to grow
they didn't
back.
do the GTA route where you can just grow hair suddenly at the barbershop.
Yeah, you have to go, oh, well, shit, I gotta wait like 20, 30 in-game days before I have some amount of hair left.
You're bald, you just walk in, give me an afro.
But for those people who are...
Got a little...
Sorry if I sprayed you.
A little saucy.
But for those people, if they want to change their hair often, you can make hair tonics that can make them grow faster.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Now you know.
But
Yeah.
like I've been big into hunting, so like what was it? So
Can we, before you get into that, can you talk about how graphic skinning an animal is?
yeah.
Wait, before y'all do that, just for reference, in our Slack channel, 9:11 a.m. Eric, I think I'm gonna buy Red Dead today. 10:24 a.m. Eric, I bought Red Dead today. Like literally back to back. Back to back. I bought Red Dead today.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Like,
me.
So I like to hunt in the game a lot, and I'm gonna talk about how graphic it is. Trust me. But like they have a camp that you're supposed to be donating to, helping them stay alive. You know, your gang of friends, right? And then I grab my winter clothes because I'm gonna go out in the mountains, and then I don't return to camp for like a week and a half in game, and because all I've been doing is just hunting in the mountains. And I've got like my winter gear on because I don't want to freeze to death. I'm making regular camps so I can warm up. And
I have a question real quick, sorry.
what?
Can you like be a mercenary and like kill people and like bring them for a bounty?
Yep.
Can you fuck a cow?
Look,
No,
okay.
Sadly.
That's
Could you-
only if I have to.
Could you
In
skin
that specific
said
instance.
cow?
Yes. Now that's
Wow.
a perfect segue into the skinning in this game.
Wait,
It is graphic.
Yo.
It's not just like most games where you're like say
Like Assassin's Creed, like
or Assassin's Creed,
hear
you
the-
start to stab and it like blacks away.
yeah.
and then all of a sudden, boom, the animal is skinned and you have its pelt. No, you
I saw a gif. I'm so sorry to cut you off, but I saw
Okay.
a gif
Uh-huh.
of like a guy. I'm assuming he's the character in Red Dead, but he had a rabbit.
Oh
yeah. Rabbit.
The rabbit's the best.
And he just fucking like had it by like a limb or something.
By
and
the
just
legs.
fucking ripped its skin
Yeah.
off.
And then
Yeah.
just plops
Now-
the rabbit on the ground.
Now,
just-
if you actually do that in first-person mode,
Oh no.
you'll
Oh,
see
no.
that he is essentially like they don't have a butthole, made, but based on where he puts his hand, he essentially grabs it by the asshole and then just rips the skin.
I never
clean
thought
off.
about doing that in first person, but now
Oh,
I
yeah.
have to.
Skinning in
Dude.
first person is way more grotesque.
That
Give me
rabbit-
one, fuck me up,
That
fam.
rabbit looked like a fucked up banana, man. I was terrified when I
well,
saw
no,
it.
like that's for every animal. So, like doing a deer, you actually see him like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no!
No, John did a buffalo the other
yo,
night.
yeah. The
And
buffaloes are
I
pretty
sat on the
sick.
couch, just like, no.
Blowing my
Because you
mind.
watch as he sits there and cuts down the stomach line and then pulls the skin back and then he has to cut
Cut
down
the
the,
other
muscle,
spine
there, yeah.
and you see all the tendons and muscles and everything, and then you'll like take the skin and put it on your horse and say you're doing a deer, then you have to go back, pick up the corpse of the deer so you can have the meat and put that on your horse. Well, now you've got blood all over your character, and you'll walk into camp and they'll be like, dude, go change or something, you look horrible. And then they'll see the deer and be like, but thanks for the food. And then you'll walk up to the cook and he'll be like, whoa, why are you doing my job? I'm supposed to do that.
My favorite thing that I've run into so far, I was on the way to meet up with a famous gunslinger,
Oh yeah.
There's like a side quest where you meet all these famous gunslingers and talk to them, try and interview them. And on my way there, down the path, there was this
You actually
dude.
tried to interview them?
One of them I was able to.
Oh.
Yeah.
I've killed all of them.
Oh. See,
I didn't know that was an option.
Yeah. I had a
'cause-
pleasant conversation with one of them. But
Really?
We're best friends. We meet every Tuesday. now.
without spoiling
I-
anything, the lady,
Oh.
the lady gunslinger.
That's
like
the
you,
only one I haven't gotten to yet. But the other ones the other day, I was thinking to myself, like, I've killed them all. But what happens if I shot their hand?
Mhm.
Like, could I have talked to them? And then, so now I'm, like, telling my best friend, I'm like, you have to shoot them in the hand. And he's already not good at video games, really. He loves them, but he's terrible at every video game he ever plays. So he's like, dude, you're putting a lot of pressure on me. I'm going to be lucky to get him in the leg, let alone shoot the gun out of their hand.
My favorite bit though was like me on the path to go and meet her, and there was this guy, and he's like trying to replace the horseshoe on his horse.
Oh, yeah.
And
I've
I was
seen that.
like, he looked like he needed help, so I was like, do you need some help? And he goes, yeah. And then the horse just kicks him right in the face, and he dies.
Oh my god.
Like super hard dies. I was like,
Well, better.
oh my god. And then the horse took off. I was like, well, all right then. That was it.
Like, I think the craziest, like, side thing I've seen was I'm just going down the road, and all of a sudden this guy comes out of the woods, and he's like, Mister, can you help me? Can you please help me? And you like look at him, and you're like, he has striped clothes on. He's a prisoner. And he's like, can you shoot the shackles? And I'm like, well, I'm an outlaw. You know, in character, I'm gonna
Solidarity,
help him.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, brother to brother. So I shot the shackles, and he's like, man, thank you so much. And he goes, so I'm sorry, I gotta do this. And then he grabs me off my horse and throws me to the ground. And he jumps on my horse and takes off. But this is the horse that I've spent the last, like, 30 hours riding, loving,
You
and
got a
taking
bond
care
with
of.
this thing.
Yeah, this horse loves me. He throws this dude clean off of him.
Sweet.
And then I walk up to him, and he's like, I'm so sorry. And I was like, no, this isn't going to be good. So I told him, yeah, you run away. And I got on my horse, waited till he got like 100 yards, and then I just ran him the fuck over.
So I have to know, what are your horses' names?
I have
Is it John?
Two. I have two. My regular horse, my
You know how I feel about horses.
my hunting horse, his name is Bandit. He's a beautiful horse. Love that guy. And then my more fast racing horse, I call her Lightning, but on the side, I call her. Yeah, actually, you had it right. Because like I'll be riding her, and I'm talking to my buddy on the microphone, and I'm like, yes, Queen, yes, and because she is the fastest horse I've ever ridden on, and she books it like lightning, and her skin actually looks almost like lightning patterned. So I'm like, it makes sense. But then when she gets me out of like the shit, I'm like, yes, Queen.
Yes, Queen.
You did so good. And my buddy's on microphone with me like, dude, I think you're losing it with this game. And I'm like, shut up.
I just got to the area where you finally go to a stable and you get a horse. So I grabbed the pre-order horse you get. It's the war horse, and I named it Athena.
Oh,
So,
that's
yeah.
a good name.
Yeah, so
So
was
John,
super happy with
John's first horse was Pakunk.
We've got normal names.
Y'all get it. Horse Pakunk. And then he accumulated Splort, Bachunka, and Sprinkles. And then his brother's horse is Glue Stick.
Oh, that's dark.
Yeah.
That's dark.
That's how Adam rolls, though.
I want to rewind a little bit. Because we became, I don't know what happened, but
This turned into the Red Dead
yeah.
podcast.
Well, I mean, like we're dating this, but it like came out last
sorry.
week.
I've fallen in love with it, so
it's fine.
it essentially replaced my ex.
Aww.
No.
That's not why you say yes, Queen.
Yeah, the horse replaced my ex.
But anyway, okay.
Mine.
What happened, Clinton? Like, what was...
Oh, so that was my stepsister who was knocking.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
She didn't know. because nobody informed her.
Well, that's your fault.
It is, but then again, nobody knew that she was going to take a dump and then knock on my door. So
Wow.
nobody had it was just like
She had to.
fuck it anyway.
She had to tell you about it.
No, she wanted to let me know that she's going to find out the gender of her baby tomorrow.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
It's exciting.
Yeah, so she wanted to tell me.
Well,
Okay.
on the next podcast, I guess we'll know.
In the future.
Yeah, and then I walk in on Red Dead Redemption.
Okay. Well, then,
Like you do.
to
So,
get that
well,
back to the conversation.
the
then,
original question.
Yeah, was what have y'all been playing recently? So
Yes.
I think.
I said Spider-Man, and I guess both of you.
Yeah.
Oh,
Red Dead.
Well,
Dead.
right now I'm kind of jumping between Diablo,
Yeah.
Red Dead, and Assassin's Creed Odyssey,
Okay.
but mostly Red Dead.
And you
Kelly
said. Kelly said.
Oh,
She
my-
said
Odyssey.
I'm Breath of the Wild. I just finished Super
Okay.
Mario Odyssey.
Okay.
And then
Me, the last game I played was Spider-Man, but before that, I was on a Kingdom Hearts marathon.
Ah,
Yeah,
Yes.
he
Yeah.
did kind of beat almost all of them.
I beat 90% of them. The last 10% being Chain of Memories because I just watched the movie. For it.
Spanky, what has a more convoluted storyline, Kingdom Hearts or Metal Gear Solid?
I can't answer
Kingdom
that.
Hearts.
Metal Gear Solid.
King- no. Kingdom Hearts.
Fight back.
Okay.
Civil War.
Okay. So you say Kingdom Hearts. I get from now. Granted, I've never played all of
but
Kingdom Hearts.
Look, here's why I say Kingdom Hearts.
Okay.
Metal Gear Solid 4.
You want to know why I say Metal Gear Solid? Metal Gear Solid 2.
That's the only runt of the litter, though.
No. They're all
It's
crazy
not
as fuck.
technically canon.
No, it is canon.
No, I know, but
It is. You are playing a guy on a secret mission that turns out is just a computer simulation, but turns out that computer simulation is just a computer simulation of him going crazy. And that's only the briefest explanation, and I haven't even touched 90%
I
of that
understand
game.
all of what you just said.
Yeah, you can't tell me Metal Gear Solid is not more convoluted. If you can say that, explain to me Frank Jaeger's backstory. He is a dude who fought in World War II, but somehow was 20 during the Cold War, then became
technology.
got reborn,
Technology.
and became a cyborg ninja in the year of 2000.
Nano.
I get it.
Yeah.
Just you can replace certain words of sentences
Or-
in Kingdom Hearts. You can do the same thing.
Or Raiden?
Raiden.
Right.
Raiden.
Yeah. For a second, I blanked. How he technically, due to canon, he is an ex-serial killer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, of
He
course.
was a guy who committed a massacre,
but
and yet he's the good guy, and he
He's-
doesn't even know about this history.
he's a good guy.
Or the fact that in Metal Gear Solid 4, he went from I'm a super agent with some nanos in me to I now do twirly ballerina moves while a sword is being held by my heel and my foot.
And also, my arch nemesis is a vampire.
Yeah, it's a nano vampire. Yeah. Yeah, I think Metal Gear might have a trump over Kingdom Hearts.
We don't say that word.
Keep in mind though,
I threw up in my mouth a little
It's
bit.
on the board. It's a rule.
I've also 100%ed all Metal Gears, and these guys have tried time and time again to get me to play Kingdom Hearts, and
We had a little short series, you and Tan were
Well,
recording.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
not it's
Pick that
not a
back up.
fair argument unless you've
Yeah.
played Kingdom Hearts. To be honest,
nothing can be more convoluted.
play Kingdom Hearts. They
I've
just
only-
did it as they went.
I've only played and beaten the original Metal Gear.
Metal
That was the
Gear.
only game
for the
NES.
The NES.
Yeah.
Oh,
I played a little bit of 4.
Okay.
Because Jacob wanted to watch me play it. But that's my entire experience of Metal Gear.
yeah, I've played all of them, even the ones that used to be on the what do you call that console? It was before NES.
The Famicom? Well, no.
The
The
Famicom was the Japanese.
Atari?
NES.
Intellivision?
Yeah.
It was something similar to the Atari. It came-
Commodore.
Commodore?
Yeah, I think it was on the Commodore, or it was something called the Master System or something. I don't.
That's
I
the
can't
Sega
remember.
Master
there was
System,
a Sega
but-
Master System.
Yeah, because they came out with a couple of really old ones that made no sense because the first game you like go after a guy named Big Boss and you kill him. And then in the second game, you go after a guy named Big Boss and you kill him.
But the second one was a Japanese only release originally.
But then the fourth one, his dead body.
The look Kelli and Eric had.
Turns out in the
Hilarious.
fourth one, you're fighting over his dead body that's actually alive. But then in the fifth one, you learn that the first Big Boss was actually just essentially a dude who believed himself to be Big Boss. Yeah, it's convoluted as fuck.
It is, but also it has the best ending.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
Like, it's a convoluted ending, but once you dig deep and understand it,
I feel like
it's actually really great.
Metal Gear Solid 4 really kind of brings it all, like reins everything in. It's like, okay, this is why this is happening, and this is this, and like.
I think also Metal Gear Solid 5 was a really good sign-off for the series. Not just gameplay-wise, but I think...
It took place in the 80s.
Yeah, it did. It's like a prequel to everything, essentially. But I still think it left the series off in a good place.
I made the mistake of trying to play Metal Gear Solid 4 first.
You're so lost, buddy.
That's
I
like that's
so you
like
know how it
reading
starts,
Deathly
right?
Hollow
You know how it starts, right?
man.
Where they have these like random ass commercials at the beginning.
Yeah.
And I was
Love
like,
that.
did the game start? Like, I didn't know what was going
with,
on.
I forgot his
With
name.
David Hayter.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was just like, I like immediately like after 5 minutes of start, I was like, maybe I should not. So and then
That robot
Phantom
has
Pain came
lady
out.
legs.
Yeah. That's a thing.
And then Phantom Pain came out, and before I bought Phantom Pain, I watched like a history of Metal Gear Solid and like the storyline. It was like condensed into like 2 parts, and so I got like a basic knowledge of the canon.
Super Bunny Hop, maybe?
I think so.
Yeah.
That rings a bell.
Because he did a good 2-part series that summarized it, but you need to look at his full deep dive in Metal Gear Solid 2 and wait for your mind to just melt. Because that is by far the most convoluted one.
Yeah, but I ended up I beat Phantom Pain, had super fun with it, and I was like, maybe I should go back and play Metal Gear Solid. And I think I played that. When did Phantom Pain come out?
Phantom Pain came out...
What year?
17,
16, 15?
I want to say it was 16 because...
16 sounds right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
October. It was October of 16 because I had got my new graphics card, my 970, that came with a free copy of it
I can Google
a month
it.
later.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. We had the power of the internet.
Whatever year Phantom Pain came out, I played Solid the same year.
Yeah.
And it blew my mind how ahead of its time that game was.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Hell
I mean, it's a really old game now, so I don't think I'm going to upset anyone, but
2015.
okay.
I
I
15.
thought I was still at GameStop when that came out.
But the Psycho Mantis boss fight
Mantis boss fight was
is
best.
the most mind-blowing thing I have
Even,
ever seen. Do you know
Sniper Wolf,
about
man.
the
Oh, yeah,
Psycho
Sniper
Mantis
Wolf
boss fight,
was
Kelly?
crazy.
no.
So, think about this. That game came out like what, late 90s, early 2000,
Something
maybe.
like that,
It was
yeah.
a PlayStation 1 era game.
The so when you fight Psycho Mantis, he reads your mind, quote unquote. He follows all of your attacks. Like, he stops you on everything. In order to defeat him, how the game wants you to, you have to unplug your controller and put it in port 2.
I think I did know about that.
That like,
And then to fuck with you, he'll also read your memory card.
oh
And
yes,
talk about
Yes.
the other games you've played.
John's told
So
me
if
about
you
that.
want to fuck with him, you have to change your memory card from slot 1 to slot 2 as well. And that'll throw him off.
Like-
And give you a slight easier time with him.
the fact that someone thought of that in the late 90s was like, this is a thing we can program, right? Like, it's
And then-
so
Yeah.
crazy.
Like, how creepy was that for the person playing? Because back then, you had to have the guide if you wanted to know how to do certain things. There was no internet to go look up.
Yeah, there's also
Yeah.
there's like a radio like frequency to call on the box. The
on
game
the back of the
box.
box, yeah.
Yeah, or you couldn't do like one of the puzzles in the game.
Yeah.
And he like even instructs you like, you're gonna have to look somewhere else for this, and you have no idea.
He's like, what are you talking about?
Call
Yeah.
this number.
And then you look on the back
It's like an
of the
888
box,
helpline.
and there's the frequency to call, and you call it in game, and that answers the puzzle.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's
Wow.
Crazy.
That and there's Metal Gear Solid 2. Just real quick, and we'll move on.
Electric Boogaloo.
Right.
Yeah.
Metal Gear Solid 2, where like the Colonel, it's towards the end of the game where he's like
Yeah.
losing his shit. He's like, turn off the game. You're like, whoa, okay.
Yeah, and he's like begging you to turn off the game, telling you that it's best for everyone. It's
That shit creeps me out.
fucking
Oh
crazy.
yeah, I love. And that was the thing about like PT that I love so much is like
Yeah.
I love stuff that like fucks with the player, not the character.
Yeah.
The stuff that messes with you.
Yeah.
That's like his whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, his new game. I mean,
like, I love Kojima so much.
The whole.
I love
That's my
Kojima.
past, Kojima. Okay.
Yeah. Like I love Kojima, but the new game they're hyping up for. I'm
Oh,
not
you mean
sold.
FedEx Simulator? Yeah,
Death Stranding?
yeah, Death Stranding.
I'm not sold on that yet.
I need
And-
more. I need to know that it's not just walking around with packages.
Yeah, like as of
Baby
right now,
packages.
with what
Yeah.
I've seen, I'm just like,
Norman Reedus and the Funky Fetus.
like as of right now, with what I've seen, I'm sitting there going like, Kojima, what are you doing?
Yeah, right, Kelly.
Like, why couldn't you make something that has, I don't
That
know,
was good.
gameplay?
I wish it was mine. I saw that on the internet.
Oh, now
Okay,
I'm sad.
yeah.
Damn it!
all right, all
I
right.
thought you were funny.
Hey, at least I'm
Trademark
honest.
that.
I don't wanna cut anyone off about the marvelous Kojima conversation. But
Our one Lord and Savior.
but we don't have a ton of time left. So before we went, I did want to ask everyone also what their favorite game of all time is.
Ooh.
You don't have to explain it because I feel like if you do, we might be here for a lot longer.
Get your answer and move on.
No, but I mean, you can explain a little bit. But
If you want, you can start us off there.
me?
Yeah.
A little bit
Alright.
of context. We have about like 10 minutes for like a regular episode's length.
Oh.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
I mean, it doesn't have to be like exact, but okay. So, all right. So I have two answers. One for a series, and one for technically two for a series, but one for like a single game. The series is a tie between Metal Gear and Final Fantasy, and I know like all Final Fantasies are kind of different stories and stuff, but whatever.
Minor details.
And my favorite game probably of all time is Majora's Mask. Just
Ooh.
Majora's Mask.
You're one of those people.
I am one of those people.
Okay, who's next?
I'll go next, I guess. I have two. They're both because they were like both at pivotal times in my life. First one is Shadow of the Colossus. That one's like number one, and that was right when I got to the age where like I started caring about story, and so I find Shadow of the Colossus' story to be so interesting, and aggro. Yeah, the aggro thing just broke my heart. Like I had never teared up at a game before until that. I was like, no, you know. And then the second one would have to be Halo 3. That was when I got Xbox Live and I got to like have online friends finally. Yeah, and that was such a cool integral, like that was such an important part of my life, just being able to like bond with people over the internet and just waste so many hours
Telling
shooting
people,
aliens.
you know, you're fucking their mom.
The teabag.
Oh yeah, it was born
Oh yeah.
and was never put back in that box.
Who's next?
I have pretty cheesy answers, but these two games like defined my childhood, and I can always find myself playing them again. In fact, we're recording one of them currently. Super Mario 64.
Ooh.
Yes.
The first game I've ever had
The
on a
water
console.
sounds like water. Y'all don't know. I was like 12, and it blew my mind.
Like the hours I sat in front of my old school like CRT TV on the floor with the wired controller, just like trying to beat that game. Never like I was too afraid at the time to actually go against Bowser because I was like a pansy when I was a kid. But every time I would just repeat the racing levels on the slide and stuff like that. That was easily like my childhood. The second game, again, like Pokemon Red. The first Pokemon game I've played ever, and it kind of
Pokemon's
threw
special.
me on this path.
I guess I'll go next, and I'm gonna bitch out and actually select 3 because I physically cannot pick between these 3. So for me, one of them is always and forever going to be Metal Gear Solid 3. That was the first game I ever 100%ed. That was the first game that really turned me into a completionist. I will do everything in a game, no matter how mundane it is. And it's the first game that really got me to dig deep into every facet of not just the gameplay, but the story and how the gameplay informs the story, and really turned me into a critical thinker when it comes to games.
That's the first game that I was like, wow, those look real.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, they jiggle so nicely.
Mechanics.
Yay! The second one is probably going to be World of Warcraft, because a lot like your reasoning, that's the game that really introduced me to having friends over the internet that weren't just like, hey, we played Call of Duty for like a week together, or something like that. I actually like knew these people.
It was like bonds.
Yeah. I mean, I can still tell you their names. I can drive you to their house because I remember where they live because I've been there.
I was there an hour ago.
And then the third one is probably, and I know everybody has probably said this at one point, The Last of Us.
I was thinking that.
But no one can blame you for it.
Because it is, in my eyes, a perfect pairing of gameplay informing the story. Because the story tells you the story of, loss, abandonment, and sadness in this post-apocalyptic world. And then when you play the gameplay,
Don't spoil it, by the way.
feels like it.
Oh, no, you watched
Yeah.
it.
I know the whole story.
feels like it because the game is so intelligent on making sure to never give you too much. So you always feel that I'm 2 steps from dying. I'm 2 steps from being fucked. And then if you play it on hardest difficulty, it's every
It's
fight.
really a game of survival.
Yeah, it's not only really a game of survival, but it forces you to think differently. So, like, if you play through it on one of the easier difficulties, you're like, these are my favorite weapons, fuck everything else, right? But once you play it on the hardest difficulty, you're constantly looking for any advantage. So you'll find yourself frequently just like, fuck, brick! And that's now your best weapon, is a brick. And you're always scrambling to just survive. And mix that with the only story in games that has ever made me cry, and not like I know some guys won't openly say it, I fucking bawled in that game.
Bruh,
And within the first
2013, I cried. Exactly, within the first, few minutes.
the first 30 minutes when his daughter dies, you're just like, no! Like, I was dying. And then by the end, seeing everything that happened, and then now seeing where it might be going with part 2,
I will argue that the prologue for The Last of Us is the best prologue ever.
Oh yeah,
written.
best opening to any game,
so
period.
good.
End
Yeah.
of story.
Like just waking up into like this zombie apocalypse.
Yeah,
Like, just
and
like
then
it all
actually
came out of
seeing, like,
nowhere.
the explosion off, like that was another thing that I think was really powerful when it comes to gameplay informing story was that moment where you walk into your dad's bedroom
You see it on the TV.
and you see it on the TV, and then boom, you see it out the window, and that immediately you're like, wow, this is happening somewhere else, and then oh shit, that's like 3 blocks over.
Yep.
Like that moment just will always be so powerful to
It
me
felt
because that
real.
that immediately is like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
But I know I've talked too much.
Did you get all your?
That was all.
Yeah,
three.
that was
All
three.
three.
Okay.
And it was Kelly.
So I've got 3 as well, but I really have no explanation for them. They're just good games.
They explain themselves.
Okami,
Yep.
Okay.
Good pick.
and then the other 2 are basically the same game. Let's be real: Fable and Kingdoms of Amalur.
Yeah.
See, I haven't played the latter. I've played Fable when I was younger. That was amazing.
I love Fable.
The fact it was like one of the first games that really let you like choose a ton of stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You can do. It's like, hey, you can think it, you can do it, and then I actually think that's actually informed Rockstar and how they make their games now, because they essentially go by the same mentality now that Fable used to, was if you can think it, have fun.
Yeah. So my
Do
problem
that.
was that I never wanted to be like bad.
I know, same.
I have
I was
a
like,
really hard
I'm
time with
such
that.
a good person. I'm not gonna punch this kid.
Yeah, I'm
not
doing the
gonna-
waffle shit on Red Dead. I'm just
Yeah,
See,
no.
I can't do that on Red Dead because I'll be like, yeah, I'm gonna rob this dude, and like 5 minutes later, I'm riding away going, such a bad person. Some random person's like, I need help building my house, and I'm like, how much money do I have? Here's $100. That's everything I have. Just take it. Be nice.
I'm way too much of a Boy Scout to go through like all the becoming like a demon slowly thing.
Yeah,
I mean,
you can't do
I
it.
did it eventually, but I had to beat the game like
Yeah.
as the perfectly good person first.
Yeah, and then you go back and you're like, okay, I guess I'll be evil now. let me make another save though, so this doesn't affect my other save, and then let me like make another save just so it's like distanced enough, and then I'm gonna go into town and murder 40 people.
Infamous was the first experience I had with that kind of system where you could be a good or a bad guy.
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Infamous is so good.
For a lot of people, their people's first experience with that is actually Mass Effect.
I haven't played either of the games, like Mass
Yeah.
Effect or
I haven't
Fable.
either.
So
Oh, well, for me, my first experience with that type of system was actually what BioWare came out with before that, which is Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2, and then one of my favorite games of all time, and almost nobody's played it, Jade Empire. Fucking love that game.
Yeah.
Nerds.
So we should be wrapping up pretty soon. We got less than a minute. Actually, a minute now.
It's the
but
final countdown.
I mean, how many times have we gone over that time limit, though?
so many times. But
Trying to be
I
punctual in
just
the new age.
want to thank you guys, both Kelly and Eric of Packed House, for joining
Yeah.
us tonight.
Oh, thank
Thank
y'all.
you.
I guess, man.
Yeah.
One last question for the two of you is like, are we going to be seeing you guys recently, like again, like maybe on YouTube? Like, what are you guys doing now?
Are we?
Yeah, no, we're good.
This is the plug.
Whoa, you signed an NDA. Shut up.
Don't forget to like and subscribe and ring that bell.
Y'all have NDAs? Wow, they're so much more professional than us.
We're not allowed to talk about it.
Oh.
Oh,
No, we've got some really exciting stuff coming down the pipeline. We will be relaunching.
Soon.
We have to finish our video.
Yeah,
We're working on a
like a welcome back
video.
type thing. We were supposed to go on to be like transparent. We were supposed to go on a month break to kind of like brainstorm on what we wanted to do next. So we kind of hit a dry spell, and I think 7 months later, yeah. So that's where we are. But we're working on stuff.
We've got like all new people. I think John, Eric, and I are the only 3 that are still with the channel from the original group. So we've got new faces. Y'all might have seen Tiffany. She was helping me with some unboxings before we took our hiatus. So we're working on some new stuff there.
We've got Mark. Mark is fantastic. He's been doing a lot of our editing, like behind the scenes type stuff.
We
Super
welcomed
great.
on Sam.
Sam does our Why the Hype videos and Let's Plays and all that jazz.
I don't know if
Miss
that's what
Ben.
we're calling it.
we all
miss
miss
Ben
Ben.
too.
We're
Well, Ben sort of wants to do a D&D thing, and so he just has a lot going on in life in general. So that's, we kind of excuse that. We're like, okay, fine. So he's still in our chat. He's really the only one that's officially left the channel that is still in the chat with us because we couldn't bear to part with him. And so he mentioned doing some D&D stuff the other day, and we were like, oh yeah, absolutely. You're not allowed to
You're
leave.
doing that with
Like,
us, right? You're doing that with us.
This is part of your contract. Like until this is done, you're
Yes.
still here.
Yes. But other than that, we've talked about doing another charity stream. It'll only be a 24-hour. So that's why when you said that earlier, I was like, we would like to... The goal was to do a welcome back for our 2-year. But that's in 2 days. So that's not going to happen.
Let's do it.
All right, you guys, let's get on this.
Crunch time? No.
It's obviously not going to happen. But we are hoping maybe like the December, January time to just do a 24-hour something or other, and it'll go, I don't know, it'll go to like an actual charity. Not it probably won't stay local. Am I missing anything? We want to bring the podcast back.
Yeah, we want to. We had a podcast called Immature Hour, that we were doing, and
Was it like a theme thing or?
we it was mostly gaming related. Like it was like gaming topic stuff. So like, we try and figure out something to discuss, and then we try and talk for an hour.
Did you also get distracted by talking about dicks?
Oh yes.
Okay, good. So it's the same type of podcast as this. We try to talk about games, but we...
So we're not allowed on it because it would be the same podcast.
Yeah.
And who's the one person that you have to talk about in every podcast?
We had a okay. So like when we started doing the podcast,
Does this count, by the way, since it's on a podcast?
yes, this
Yes,
counts.
that's why I'm bringing it up.
Yeah. So we had a running joke. No Man's Sky had come out right when we started doing the podcast stuff, and there was such a bad reaction to that game. Every discussion we had for every podcast, No Man's Sky and Sean Murray, the creator of that game, came up every single time. It became a running joke to the point where, like, when we'd introduce ourselves, I went, "Hi, I'm Sean Murray."
Yes.
So yeah, John's gonna kill us when he hears this.
He's gonna be like, God damn it.
You couldn't even not talk about it on another podcast.
I couldn't let that happen.
Yeah.
See, for us, the running joke that we always did was them trying to replace my existence.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
Well, that's one.
That
Because
that
they were all like these micro like aggressions that we would have with like Matt's editing to a point where like, you know, we're just gonna get a new editor. We're gonna fire
Yeah.
you. Never fire him. Actually, we tell him he's fired, and then we rehire him in that same moment.
Yeah. And then they
I've
make
fired
Every
everyone.
every meeting we're like, all right, everyone's fired.
Okay, and then also I'm new Hitler. That's a thing.
Ooh.
That's
Good.
actually a reference to an earlier Halo Friends podcast. So if you want to watch that, you'll know by the thumbnail.
Sweet plug.
Yes, the thumbnail is very distinctively
Oh.
Hitler themed.
No, I would say it's more John Cena themed.
Okay, Hitler John Cena.
Those might have been the most popular videos on our channel, but that's for another time.
But I know I said we would be wrapping up, but since you guys are in the middle of a welcome back, I guess like a relaunch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I guess since we are doing a
Rebirth.
Hey We're Friends podcast, it'd be kind of appropriate to tell people where we've been and what we're doing at the moment.
Yes, if you guys can sit and sweat with us a little longer.
Oh, I'm sweating.
I'm not.
I'm actually quite comfortable right now. But we are on hopefully the end of our second hiatus.
Mm.
The first hiatus being like 6 to 7 months. This hiatus now we've on 9 months. So
It makes me feel better. It's not just us.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh no!
I mean,
like when you
people
said
have
that
things
that
going
7
on.
months happened, I was like, that's terrible. It's hard to come back from that. And then I realized there's so many of you.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
there's this high concentration of like when do we like have matching schedules?
We're like
Get
the
together.
Slipknot of YouTube channels. Like there's like 20.
In the meantime, me and Clinton are watching Bleach, and we're like, we should record.
That's the thing. Like we've had these hiatuses where like we're just too busy, but since we're best friends, we're always hanging out anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So
We're like a professional calendar so that we can see who's working and
No.
who's doing stuff.
Oh, Clinton does the same thing. It's always up on his wall.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
he'll have calendars of this comes out this day, this comes out now. Like he'll have our content planned for weeks.
I've only had to do that once though, and that was for my trip to Michigan. But
It's so like
to-
busy.
Oh God.
God damn.
Damn.
Jesus.
I don't want that. Actually,
Fuck.
I do, but I don't want that.
Welcome to my
No, I'm
life.
impressed by it. Like, I wish we were that organized.
We could be,
We should
but
be.
I
we're
have
shitty
Google
people.
Calendars.
Yeah, we are.
But
I'm flaky.
Acknowledging
I know
it is
this.
important though.
Like I
The-
know I'm
the
flaky.
more
and
you
I don't
know.
care.
We suck.
We're sidetracking again, guys. Come
But,
on.
Whatever.
but this is, I guess, the comeback of the Hey We're Friends
Oh, yeah.
podcast.
Yep,
So we
all
got
over
that.
your back.
Feel super
Um,
privileged to be
I know.
a part of that. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Wait, what? Wait, what?
They're on the first podcast.
Yeah, we're on
Oh,
the
yeah,
first
the
podcast
podcast.
since you've been back. So.
Yeah.
Um,
And it's 42,
Sorry.
so this is the meaning of life, guys.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
We are in the process of doing a whole channel redesign.
Mhm.
New logo. Actually did a
too.
photo shoot.
Yeah.
And we did all of that literally
Ooh,
yesterday.
yeah, we did our photo shoot
We need to do a
yesterday.
photo
Yeah.
shoot. Was it steamy?
I
Well,
would
I
say
get
so,
a,
yeah.
a quarter chub.
No,
looking
actually,
at
we
it.
got like mosquitoes and.
So yeah, steamy.
Glistering foreheads from sweat.
If only we had a professional photographer on our channel that could do a photo shoot.
You're not a
for
professional
us. Hint,
photographer. You're a
hint.
professional videographer.
Yes, this is true.
I don't know anyone who does that for us.
But you don't even get paid for it.
We have
Nope.
2 people on our channel that have film degrees.
Me too.
Actually, just the one.
Yeah. Y'all need to step it up. We need to find
But,
another one.
Yeah. New logo. That's all going to be in conjunction with the photo shoot for the redesign, and we have a backlog of catalog. And that backlog catalog.
Yep.
We actually have content.
Yeah.
that we
Next
are
step is
waiting to,
editing.
upload.
So.
Yep.
Which I hopefully can jump in on this time.
Know that feel.
Because it's always been I'm working and I'm in some sort of relationship where that person doesn't like understand this, so I don't get to like spend time on it. Well, now I'm single, so hit me up. Let's fill my hours so I don't have crushing depression.
You know what we should get Terran and finish Pokemon.
Dude, I would love that.
Scheduling with him is like impossible though, because he lives so far away, and then he's like, I don't have money now.
He's a dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got kids now, or a kid.
I mean,
Wait,
I don't know.
his kid's probably like, what, 2 years old now? And I remember when he announced it on the podcast. God
Yeah.
damn. So, Jacob's signaling that it's time to wrap it up.
Am I?
Yeah.
It looks
I
like
was.
It looks like
I thought he was about to give a
I
sermon.
could have done this in class all of these years.
it. Just raise your hand, and she goes, "Oh, I guess we gotta go."
Got recess.
Did you want to say something?
No, I mean, I was literally raising my hand so that we could wrap it up.
Cool. I know you.
Me tapping on the phone. So that's what I do to the guys.
Time. Yeah. So keep a lookout for both of us, both Kelly, Eric, and John, and others from Packed House and from us. Hopefully this podcast comes out after your welcome back video, so we're not spoiling anything for your audience.
One can only hope.
Wait.
but
Would it spoil anything?
Nah.
No.
Okay.
No.
Screw it.
Okay, cool. Well, then I want to thank everybody for joining me tonight on the Hey We're Friends podcast.
You're welcome.
Jacob, Matt, Kelly, and Eric, thank you, all of you guys, and hopefully to the audience that will be listening, we love you.
Thanks for having us. Let's do this again.
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yeah, this was fun.
Love you all. Bye, guys.
Toodles.
All right. Give me another question.
Okay. Oh, you didn't even answer the last one I gave
Oh,
you.
what was it?
Your lover has been magically transformed into an animal.
Oh,
And
dude,
the only way to
I
restore
told
them-
you I have no idea. I have no
Oh.
idea. I have absolutely no idea.
But what if I didn't accept that? You had to give me an animal.
You can't just not accept it.
Guess what, Jacob?
Okay, I'm giving you an animal. Fine. My animal
Least psychological damaging animal that you would fuck.
that I would fuck.
Yep.
God, you look what you did. Oh man. I have to go with like something big.
But it's your lover, so you don't have to worry about it like attacking you or anything.
Oh, okay.
It's willing.
okay. It's really a cow.
God, you go for the cow.
No, but
funny.
but I'd want her to be something bigger because I'm not gonna fuck a dog. Like, that would suck.
dog
That
in
would,
the ass.
that would suck.
Wait, oh, that's a song. Is that like a Blink-182 song?
Probably. But yeah, it would suck though, right, for the dog.
Yeah.
So yeah, like you want to be nice to said animal.
So, like, but what if the cow can't feel it?
Too bad. I mean, it doesn't matter.
You gotta please your lover.
Wait, you have to?
Well, it says to mate, so I'm assuming it's like getting her pregnant or something. Like you have to be able to like conceive, like the ability to conceive. Nah. No.
Oh, dude, that was so hard. That was long.
I would.
Said my cow lover. All right, what's your animal? What's your spirit animal?
I don't know. Like, I would go with a bear.
A bear? Why a bear? And you gave me shit for a cow?
Like, give me. I don't know, because like it's big enough, but I'm assuming the privates.
No. You can use it as an excuse for your bear marks.
You know, it's funny when you can make me die. Oh no, like I know nothing about animal biology.
That's
But
not
I
true. I
would
mean, you gotta know something.
I would assume that like a bear vagina isn't that deep. Like I wouldn't imagine like a horse cock. What the fuck are we talking about now?
It took the horse it took a horse cock to really put things. Damn. It took a horse cock to really put things into perspective for us.
Oh,
Alright. My head hurts.
oh, that's good.
This is
Oh.
my favorite question. Oh, okay. I think I'm getting better as I go.
Oh, oh.
Spanky, what? Finish your explanation, and
But I did. Like
you gotta finish.
it
Spanky.
seems like. Yeah, I do. But like, yeah, I like approximately.
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 Okay.
I
My
think
brain
a
hurts.
bear vagina would like most likely suit
Suit.
like the appendage of which.
Okay. Next question. We're done. We're done with this. We're done. We're done forever.